Hello and welcome to another episode of Video Game Logic. Today's episode was recorded on November the 15th, 2022. I'm your host, gaming psychologist, and with me, as always, showing me new, interesting things on the internet.
Already come into your mind where you can never forget them caffeine rage.
On today's show, we will, of course, discuss the games that we've played. Batman voice actor Kevin Conroy has died, age 66. Diablo Immortal gym update leaves players demanding refunds. And then we have a couple of community corner topics. Vampire the Masquerade Swansong publisher says Box's PS5 upgrade listing was, quote, a mistake.
Oh boy, right?
And more users encounter melting issues with Nvidia's RTX 4090. Timestamps will be in the show notes following their respective topics. Hello, Rage.
Hello, it's good to be back.
Good to be back from outer space.
I think, right?
Yep. You were sick. And then last week I had to do dad stuff. My kid had a major meltdown.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I got the flu like 3 or 4 days after getting my flu shot. And technically I could have recorded Tuesday, but I was just spent. I was spent. I was coughing my head off still. I was not in a good place. I mean, on our date night on Sundays, I was running a temperature of like 101, 102. Adita was about to start to drag my ass to the hospital if it ticked up another degree.
Yeah. Thankfully, it did not.
Yeah, I mean, I basically ran a fever for like 6 hours and then I was done. Or 6 hours as far as I know, because I had chills pretty much all of Sunday. So I may have been running it for longer. But, yeah, it was basically one really shitty day, one day of just sleeping it off, then about 2 weeks worth of hacking my lungs up from sinus drainage. Because right at the end, my sinuses were like, what? You're sick? Time to join the party!
Right.
So, yeah.
And then my kid, on his week, my kid has ADHD. And he takes ADHD meds, and he was having some pretty major issues. And so, like, we wound up troubleshooting this afterwards and, like, figured out, like, oh, yeah, no, this lines up. So he had to be taken off of his medicine, and he's in kind of a cool-down period before we can try a different medicine. Mm-hmm. And that was the first night. So he had been sick, and he missed some school. So he had extra homework, and that was the first night that he really, like, the medicine was out of his system. And so, like, he couldn't focus. We spent, like, 2 hours working on homework, and then he just melted down. He's like, I'm not going to get any fun time tonight. I have all this homework I have to do. I can't concentrate. There's something wrong with me. I can't do this. Why can't I just do this? All my friends can do it. It's like, oh, buddy. All right, slow down. Let's just take this one step at a time. So he didn't get in bed until like 10 o'clock, but partly like after he did get his makeup work done, we let him stay up and play video games for a while. It's like, he worked hard. So he didn't want him to feel like he, was just punished basically. So that was what kept me out that last week.
Yeah, I'm not sure which is worse. I mean, to be fair, I was just feeling like shit, but all right.
Yeah. Comes with the territory of being a dad, I guess. I don't know. I could have been an asshole. Like a real bad parent asshole, but...
Oh, like your parents.
Like my parents, yeah.
Yes, I went there.
I try. Oh, I go there all the time. Trust me. We make comments all the time about that. I mean, my in-laws are like not great, but my parents are by far the nightmare in-laws. So, c'est la vie.
And so it is.
But yeah, so it's 10:40. We had to do a choosing to fix some stuff for December and January.
Woo.
And then, we just talked for a long time, got some pranking content, but we need to get started. Yeah. So, hey, Rage, what, actually, it looks like I played 2 things this week, kind of. Technically, I haven't really... I'll get into it. I've got 2 things to talk about, and you've got 1 thing. So you don't want me to go first?
Yeah, you can go first.
So, The first thing that I want to talk about this week is Mechwarrior 4 Mercenaries. I have talked about this game before. It's been a couple of years. I kind of go through a cycle with all of these games that I play every 2 or 3 years. And the link for Mechwarrior 4 Mercenaries is to its Wikipedia page, and that's where the story comes in. So in the way back times of the early 2000s, when Mechwarrior 4 Mercenaries was first released on disc, Microsoft owned it or bought the rights to it. It was like around this time the IP changed hands to Microsoft. And they sat on it for 7 or 8 years before they licensed it out to this company called Megamech, who, as you know, with the blessing of Microsoft, re-released Mechwarrior 4 Mercenaries with like all of the DLCs for free. You could download them for free. It was officially supported. They had their new online mode, and this was like to start hyping up at the time what was supposed to be Mechwarrior 5. That game got canceled, and what was supposed to be Mechwarrior 5 was eventually released as Mechwarrior Living Legends, which is a free-to-play, multiplayer Mechwarrior game that anybody can get and play. It's managed by, mod devs and, the whole shebang. Like, I've talked about that before, too. Excellent game. Really like it. Way better than Mechwarrior Online. But Mechwarrior Online is kind of like what put the kibosh on all of this. But initially, we're hyping up the next Mechwarrior. It's going to be great. Have Mechwarrior 4 for free. Have all these modding tools. You don't need a disc for it. There's no DRM. No nothing. Enjoy. And then Microsoft sold the rights, and, a tale as old as time. Rights holders change. Stuff has to be taken down. And so Mechwarrior 4 Mercenaries disappeared from the internet for a while. And then it resurfaced in 2013 or 2014 on this site, myabandonware.com, where you can get, it's a great site for classic games, mostly PC games. They got some other stuff on there too that you can download. And they usually have pretty decent support for patches and information on how to get a game running on modern hardware. It's a really good site. You should go check it out. They got all kinds of stuff from several different eras of PC gaming.
I used to love going to abandonware sites.
Yeah. And so for about 5 or 6 years, you could get everything that you needed from My Abandonware. And the last time that I downloaded it to play it was in about 2017, when it was all still on My Abandonware. Well, in the time since I last played it, and now, all of the support, like it's all been nuked. The links still exist, and some of the things are available, but you can't get the original. You can't get the Megamech re-release that didn't need a disc and didn't have to be mounted and didn't have to be cracked and etc. All that's gone. And so I spent the better part of a week, scouring the internet looking for, forum posts, somebody who had this shit in like their Google Drive or a working torrent that worked that wasn't full of viruses. And I found one and I downloaded it. And now I have backed this up in multiple places and have it unlisted in my Google Drive. So, anyone who wants to play Mechwarrior 4 Mercenaries, let me know. I will give you a link. Eventually, I'm going to be a good steward of this and post it in some places, and spread the links around the Mechwarrior community again. I haven't gotten that far yet. I've just got it archived and backed up on all of my stuff. But for now, if somebody wants it, let me know. I will give you a link to where you can download it from my Google Drive. I've tested it. Everything works. You just have to extract it. And then there's one file you have to overwrite, which kind of serves as the no disk crack. And so you don't have to mount it, on an ISO or whatever, as a virtual drive. So that has kind of been the history of this and my saga with it, I've started playing it a little bit again. I mean, Mechwarrior 4 Mercenaries Mechwarrior 3 and Mechwarrior 4 are pretty hotly debated among the fan base of which one is the best one of the Mechwarrior games. I'm pretty partial to 4, but that's the one that I played first. So I don't know how much of it is that nostalgia factor. I will say that Mechwarrior 4 Mercenaries runs a lot better than any of the other Mechwarrior 4 because there were 3 Mechwarrior 4 games. Weirdly, there was the original, which was called Vengeance, and then there was its expansion called Black Knights, and then Mercenaries was a standalone game with its own campaign that released a year later. So it's like 2000, 2001, 2002. Those 3 came out back to back. And it essentially laid the groundwork for the formula that we have today for all of the Mechwarrior and Battletech video games. Mechs have slots for different weapon types to make their specialties stick out a little bit more, sort of lore-based specialties. And mechs fundamentally behave differently in the older Mechwarrior games. I don't know how much of that is a product of game design and the technology available versus design philosophy, but the Mechwarrior 4 trilogy essentially set us in motion for what we have now in terms of how all the mechs play in all the video games and how they're all customized. Mechwarrior 5 is a bastard child because they fucked up the weapon typing even more, but Mechwarrior 4 is kind of the progenitor for that. It's a very good game. It's single player. There's a multiplayer component that still has an active community, but you need some tools to get into matches. Just because the original, I think it was Game Ranger or something, is dead now. But it's...
Yeah, I vaguely remember Game Ranger. We needed it for a couple multiplayer games back in the day.
Yeah. But, I've
been kind of diving into one of the old abandonware sites I used to go to. Surprisingly enough, it's still alive after, like 5 years since the last time I've been here.
Nice. But yeah, Mechwarrior 4 Mercenaries has got a pretty lengthy campaign with a number of choices. There's 4 distinctly different endings that require multiple playthroughs. Eventually you get to a point where you get locked out of certain endings. So if you want to see everything, you have to play through the game 4 times.
I take it you can't save scum them?
No, you can't. There's a couple of decisions that you could save scum, but some of them get set in motion very early in the campaign. So I suppose you could save scum, but you'd still have to do a lot of playing through. There's 4 different starts though, 4 different factions that you can start the game with that give you different starting mechs, different starting equipment, and access to different stuff at the beginning of the game. Kind of by the end of it, you can get anything that you want or need, but it does give 4 very distinct sort of playthroughs as you start with each of these factions, just because of the way that it starts you off. But there are decisions that can be made, and you can. It's got a lot of replayability. It's got like a new game plus, where that you can restart the game with your mech company and all of your stuff, and just keep building up into crazy, ridiculous arsenals. It's good as long as you can look past the fact that it does look like a game that's 20 years old, because it is. But it still controls well. It works with my modern joysticks, or my modern HOTAS rather, my Thrustmaster setup. It works with that, no problem. But it also plays quite well with keyboard and mouse, or if you want to use like keyboard and joystick. It doesn't like controllers very well. It struggles with controllers, but there might be some profiles out there that make it work, or it could be that I just, it doesn't like Xbox controllers. It might work better with a different controller. But yeah, Mechwarrior 4 Mercenaries. It's great.
wonder if the DualShock controller would work better because it's a direct input and doesn't use the X input.
Possibly. But yeah, if anyone out there listening wants to play, tell me in Discord. I'll give you a link to the to it. It's only like it's not even 1.5 gigs. I think it might be 1.2 gigs. Back when games were smaller, 1.2 gigs was massive by the standards of the time, but
Yeah.
it's nothing now.
And careful, next choosing, I might dive into some abandonware.
I'm okay with that. All right, what do you got?
Okay, so I have a new entry in my list of games I wish I liked more than I actually did.
Okay.
This is Despot's game, Dystopian Battle Simulator. This I played it on Game Pass, so I don't actually own it on Steam. And boy, am I glad I played it on Game Pass because I would have been disappointed otherwise. So this is there's this like ongoing series of games now on mobile. Dispositions 3K. It was given away at one point, and I picked it up. Extremely hard and extremely kind of tedious because it kind of actively tries to fuck you over.
Yeah.
And yeah, I picked it up for free there, and boy, did I pay the right price there. I've tried to play it quite a few times to get far enough into it to talk about it, but it basically like every random encounter actively fucks you over. And I think it's one of those that I just haven't played it exactly like I should to progress, but that's beside the point. That's what this game is set in kind of that universe of you're an AI, you're trolling these meatbags that to go into this labyrinth for reasons. And it's tedious, and that's the problem with it. It's tedious and repetitive. So it's running on kind of the idea of the chunk-based random map generator. Sort of like Binding of Isaac and a lot of other of the roguelites, where there's individual rooms and they're all just mixed matched together into a map. And part of the problem is that you have no control over the actual battle. You set up your formation before the battle starts and just press go and hope for the best. And it really comes down to if the AI decides to actually do something smart. And that really kind of grinds on me after a while. Especially since once things start to go bad for you, they go bad quickly. So you start off with newbies. Got newbies in sarcasm quotes. Either through just buying them at shops. You start off with a few on at least a couple of the starting setups. You slowly unlock other setups, but that's really all I could tell that you do unlock. Everything else is just, there from the start, which is nice in one way, but also it kind of lacks any sense of progression on the other. So you set up your newbies, and the way you get them into different classes for different roles in combat is by giving them items. And every class, there's, I think, 6 or 8 of them. Cultists, eggheads, fencers, fighters, healers, mages, tanks, throwers, tricksters, and shooters. So, 10. Yeah, 10 different classes.
Okay.
So, which all have a different kind of niche. Like, tanks obviously take a lot of damage and have a lot of health, but they don't do a lot of damage. Tricksters and fencers kind of fill a similar niche of melee combat with a different sub-gimmick that is accessed by leveling up the class. And the way you level up the class is having more people with an item that grants that class, but they have to be unique items. And that's kind of the rub on it, is that you have to either level up your shops enough to be able to see the more legendary items, which good luck with that if you're having trouble with money, which I'll get into later, or just get lucky and get a random event because a random event starts at the beginning of every level, and some of them will grant a very rare character, which is one of the higher rarity of a particular class. And also the higher rarity items tend to have just stronger stats overall. But if you want to have the level 5 of that class, which gives the best abilities, you need to even have the common variant, which is kind of not great, right?
Right.
Which is already kind of annoying. But also, it ties into the whole idea of once you start losing people, you start losing power quickly. Extremely quickly, actually. So, like, if you get bad luck and get a couple tanks that die, and you don't get the lucky roll on at least the base settings, whenever somebody dies, you have a 50-50 shot of getting their item in a inventory that you can hand off to a new newbie to grant them that class. Well, if you lose that roll and you don't, you might be shit out of luck because, it's going to be several rooms at least to get another shop, and then you're just going to sit there re-rolling items using what money you have. So that's already kind of right?
Yeah.
Then you tie in the food mechanic, and the food mechanic just drives me nuts. Okay, so people have to eat, all right? Pretty standard on a strategy sort of game of, as a way of a soft cap of a balance to have some sort of resource that you have to counterbalance it. So on this one, it's food. Every time you move, you have to feed all your people, and the more people that you have, the more food it requires. But there's only a handful of shops that actually sell food. So if you get unlucky, especially on your map layout, you might be going through rooms that you already cleared to try to find a shop that will sell you food while burning what food you already have. And then you have to sink what money you have into the food instead of buying, upgraded items or upgrading your shop. Or your shops, I should say, because once you upgrade one shop, it upgrades all the shops. Or spending money on mutators, which gives, some of them are just flat out like percentage bonuses on health, attack speed, mana. Which, if your healers run out of mana, good luck, right? Especially in some of the boss fights. And it's just there's mechanics here that would make sense in other games, but kind of clash against one another because the game's trying to tell you, okay, you need to go explore to get all the resources to be able to level up, and also to get the experience to level up, because it's not just giving somebody a legendary item to give them a powerful class. They still have to level up, which factors in the modifier. So, for example, okay, so and there's also a lot of like little references to things. So, Eggheads, for example, has like a gravity gun, and if you give it to somebody, they look like Gordon Freeman.
That's cute.
The legendary item for that one is Dr. Octopus's claws, and they get the Doc Ock arms from the Spider-Mans.
Yeah.
Well, that modifier, it's still, to give you an example, Dr. Octopus's claws. It's a plus 170 attack, plus another 4% per level. And it also gives plus 700 health, but also an additional 10% per level. And the level cap, I think, is level 10. So gets rather substantial. So you have to grind that experience up, especially if you're coming up on a boss, but you're still burning all your food resources. And if people start going hungry, they start losing attack power and defenses quickly. which can lead into a position of suddenly losing a bunch of people. And that also ties into the whole idea of, okay, well, you need 3 different eggheads to unlock a buff tower, which gives, I think this one is straight up attack power and speed. Or cultists can summon a Cthulhu tentacle. So, right?
Nice. Love a good Cthulhu, or love a good tentacle.
Yeah, which if you level them up past level 3, it summons a stronger and stronger summon. But the thing is that if you have 5 cultists, you are likely running a very large army. So the tentacle, is just bumping into everything and just fucking all your side up while it's trying to get to the enemy. And there's a couple other of the legendary items that instead of 1 slot, it takes like 4 slots. The Doc Ock arms is bad about that, where because the sprite is so big, it takes up more slots than what you otherwise would be able to. And that limits the amount of people that you can run, never mind the fact that you also have to deal with the food issue as well. And a lot of the in-game stuff is actually PvP based, which is just a coin flip on what they got. And it turns into like a King of the Hill Battle Royale thing. Basically, once you beat the final boss, it uploads a copy of your team, and you fight against other people's uploads, which is neat until you realize, well, it's still just a coin flip of what's going on, because depending on how well their AI handled things, they could be in a lot better position than you are, because it also nobody heals outside of combat unless you have an active ability that you get after one of the boss fights, and you can only hold on to 2 of those. So you're having to rely on what healers you have in the game or in your party, and they tend to focus on rather bad targets at times.
Yeah,
they'll start working on a healer or a ranged character that got some splash damage instead of the tanks that are just constantly getting damage, for example. And like I said, if they run out of mana, they run out of mana quickly. And, well, all right. There's some interesting ideas here, and there's an interesting mood about it. The shift to PvP very late in the game is weird to me. And also the fact that it's so hands-off. I would have liked to seen some sort of strategic layer on top of just setting up your army and that's it.
Yeah.
Or even, giving some basic orders even during the thing, because there's really no reason not to run just at fast forward speed, because you can't do anything while the battle is active. It's basically press it and hope.
Sounds kind of like any of those battle simulator games.
Yeah, pretty much, actually. Only with some roguelite elements tacked on. And like I said, at the beginning of each floor, you'll get a random event happen. And sometimes you'll just have somebody die because of it. No warning about it whatsoever. And, if it's someone that's important and you lost that roll, that item's gone. Right?
Yeah. Too bad, so sad kind of a thing.
And then there's also some quests that'll pop every so often. Like, there's one like mutant that's there's this a giant thing that's across a couple floors that he wants you to bring him essentially spinach because he's gone vegetarian, and he'll give you a random mutator, I think it was, if you do it for him. You'll have a guy that's literally running from death, as in the Grim Reaper. And the Grim Reaper will make a deal with you to go get this guy, but you have to chase him through like half a dozen rooms. And you could either, have him give you some cash to say that, we lost you in the labyrinth, or kill him and then report back to the Grim Reaper, and the Grim Reaper will give you a reward of some sort. But you have no choice on what he actually does, so if he gives you a reward for a class that you're not even running, well, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, there's some interesting things here, but there's just so many tedious design choices. If you could have set up some sort of basic strategy, I mean, I'm not even talking about, have it turn based, choosing every single move that's going on, because if you're running your maxed out side, you could be running 50 plus units, which is a hell of a thing to try to keep fed, but that's beside the point. So I'm not expecting full control over them, but I would have loved to see, be able to control by class, or give some sort of priorities to certain targets.
Yeah.
Just a very light level stuff would have made this game so much more enjoyable to me. And honestly, it felt like normal mode was just going out of its way to be unfair. I'm not sure if I was just not playing it right, like the mobile game, or if this is one of those cases of, well, if you are unlucky and you have it built exactly right, well, you lose. It was tough for me to really tell which way it was.
Well, I've played the other one of these, because there's another... Oh, they made another game that's in the same, I don't know, theming, I guess you could say. That is a clicker kind of management style game where you're playing as the AI overlord and you're trying to manage the production that all your humans do so that you don't die and you can complete goals and stuff. And it feels the same way. The normal mode on that is feels incredibly unfair. Despotism 3K. That's what it's called.
That's the mobile game that I got.
Okay, I have that on PC.
See, I picked it up when it was being given away on Google Play. So this is the same game I was talking about.
Yeah.
Set in the same world with the same AI. And I just cannot get far in it. Although it does look like the PC version has a few things that's not in the mobile version. Like that expedition thing is not in mobile as far as I can tell.
You have to reach a certain point before you get the expedition thing.
See, I never got past the first milestone, really, because it seems like every time I'm doing well, I get a random event that just completely fucks me over.
Yeah, you have to essentially complete the first quote-unquote story in order to unlock the expedition thing.
Okay, or it could just be I'm terrible at it.
Could be that too. No judgment here.
You're judging me. I could hear it.
You can feel my judgment through the microphone. Right. Okay. So you ready for me to do my other one?
Yeah.
So again, another thing of I kind of played this, but not really. It's just an excuse to talk about something else. So about Skyrim a minute. So there's a YouTuber I'm subscribed to and that I support on Patreon named Patrician TV. And in 2020, he did an 8-hour deep dive retrospective on Morrowind. And then in 2021, he did a 12-hour deep dive retrospect on Oblivion. And in current year of our Lord 2022, he did a 20-hour deep dive on Skyrim, split into 2 parts. He did a very cute thing. He made part 2 11 hours, 11 minutes, and 11 seconds. So doing the whole famous 11, 11, 11 thing that Skyrim did when it first released. Very cute. And it did make me want to play Skyrim, and I did play Skyrim a little bit. But I mostly just wanted to talk about my experience watching 20 hours of a deep dive on Skyrim. For one, you don't have to watch his other videos, but to understand, I think you should watch at least either the Morrowind or the Skyrim or the Oblivion video, but both would be helpful.
Or you could just turn on Lord of the Rings extended cut
and watch it twice. You could watch Lord of the Rings extended cut twice during all of this. he's he's a person who is biased. He is a good critic in the sense of like he lets his bias be known. He tries to be as fair as he possibly can, but he also calls out like, this is my bias, this is my experience, these are the things that I prefer. And uses that as part of his analysis and his deep dives of these things. And the Morrowind video was incredibly informative for me. I've played Morrowind a decent amount. I've never beaten it, though. And then Oblivion, the Oblivion video, gave me lots of things to think about and consider, because I've played Oblivion for something like 1,500 hours across several different iterations of it in my life, all put together. And then the Skyrim video was probably the most interesting. Like, I don't know if anybody listening is going to care to invest that much time in it. So I'm not necessarily worried about spoilers for his video. It's very hard to talk about very quickly. It's the most interesting because he gets angry. He gets downright emotional a couple of times, and he talks about that and calls out how that the game makes him mad because of how far it has strayed from the original sort of ideal of the Elder Scrolls series to be a video game version of a tabletop RPG. And he does call out some good things that Skyrim does. He does call out, they mostly have to do with the world building and the design of it and the pioneering of certain new technologies that are very familiar to us now, but were groundbreaking at the time. Some interesting things there. And where Skyrim tends to shine is its side quests and its Daedric quests. All of the main quests, main I'm including like all the faction quests and the, guilds and stuff from when I say main quest content. All of those are, bad. And he has kind of this thesis of like, I know that Skyrim is bad. Anyone who's a serious gamer knows that Skyrim is bad, but me and so many of us still come back to it and play it and enjoy our time with it. I want to know why that is. And that was kind of the thesis for his whole video. And it was interesting. He made some really good points along the way about how that the game design elements that quote unquote more hardcore players hate are the things that keep you enticed to keep playing. And that in Skyrim, while he disagrees with quite a few of the fundamental design elements, they made a lot of them work cohesively together and stopped pretending that Skyrim was something that it wasn't, because they did pretend with Oblivion that Oblivion was something that it wasn't. I've always felt Oblivion strikes at the best middle ground, but there are issues, pretty big issues with Oblivion. Biggest of which being the leveling system in Oblivion. But, he talks about all of that in this 20 fucking hour video, or videos, two videos, 2 parts. But I because I'm a Patreon subscriber, I got access to it, a week early. And so I spent a week, 2 weeks almost 2 weeks watching this 20-hour thing, monstrosity. And boy, I love that kind of stuff. I love, narrative examination and ludology, the study of gameplay and how it affects people and can be used to promote certain goals, and how that sometimes it works really well and sometimes it falls apart. Like, I wish, we did Skyrim as one of our, I think, year 1 game clubs. Like when we first started doing game club, it was one of the first ones. And I wish that it had been done now.
Not doing it again.
No. I'm not. Yeah, you hated Skyrim. I'm not asking you to do it again. But I wish that I had, had this perspective.
It was towards the end of the year of our first year.
Yeah. I wish that I had this perspective now. Because I still enjoy Skyrim, but I recognize that it's a bad game. And I don't think I had fully formed that opinion when we did it. I know that I liked Skyrim, and I recognized it as being weaker than Oblivion and Morrowind at the time. But I mean, that's been years ago. I don't remember everything I said. I do know that I liked Skyrim, and I still do.
I know you got very defensive whenever I called it out.
I still like playing Skyrim. I have enjoyed the little bit of time that I've spent with it, but I'm like, oh yeah, this game design is bad, but like I'm having fun. And that's without even adding mods to it. You know, mods, I don't think, like, mods are great for pretty much any game that has mods, but mods are not they can't be an excuse for a game, being good. Like, mod support is awesome. I think every game should have mods so that people can do whatever they want with the games that they play. But you shouldn't need mods for your game to be good.
The RimWorld versus Skyrim, right?
Yeah. But I don't know. I can't quite put my finger on it. And honestly, he doesn't come up with like a solid conclusion either. He's just like, sometimes things feel good even when they're bad. Basically, like, human nature is weird. So I don't know. I just wanted to talk about it. I've talked to you about it like twice. Technically, this makes thrice now, but it's just interesting. It's this is the whole idea of like, if only I could go back in time with what I know now and approach situations with that knowledge. Like, probably this is a frivolous use of that, but I wish I could go back in time and redo, the Skyrim game club with the perspective I have now. I think I could have articulated a lot of points a lot better and not been so defensive on some things. Because, like, yeah, Skyrim's bad, but I still like it, and that's okay.
I was aggressive on how much I hate it.
We have we've changed a lot over the years.
I haven't. I still fucking hate it.
I still like it, but neither of us are quite as aggressive. We're both older and more tired and more broken.
Just like Skyrim before, the community fixed mods.
Indeed.
Hey, but at least we're not flying backwards.
Nope. Sometimes I wish I was, though. That would be cool. If I could fly backwards. So you can fly, but only if it's backwards. Okay, sure. Why not? I'll fly backwards.
And now I'm thinking Powdered Toast Man from the Ren and Stimpy cartoon.
I know what you're talking about. I did not like Ren and Stimpy. I never liked Ren and Stimpy.
It was an odd time for cartoons, what I gotta say.
It was. Ren and Stimpy, I'm glad Ren and Stimpy exists. I don't think it's bad. It just is not for me.
The revivals that they tried to do definitely did not strike the same chord. Because they tried to stick with like the same audience that had kind of moved on.
Yeah.
Yeah, much like Skyrim.
I think, yes. Sorry. I think most things are a product of their time, though. Like, most things don't hold up that well. Because it's like the specific cultural, phenomenon or zeitgeist that came together at the right time to make that such a valuable, like, culturally impactful thing. Culture moves on. Despite the GOP's best effort to hold it still, culture moves on.
What, you mean being canceled?
Sometimes. But yeah, that's all I have to say. I don't know. I felt like that was a little rambly, but like, I just wanted to talk about it. I just like wanted to, get a little bit of it out. 20 hours. 20 fucking hours. Can't tell you the last time I spent 20 hours on any TV show or series of any kind. Just YouTube analysis videos.
So, shall we talk about things also moving on?
Yes, let's go ahead and move on to our news topics. The first news topic of the night, Batman voice actor Kevin Conroy has died age 66. So,
I mean, damn, this one came out of nowhere.
Yeah. So now have never been the biggest Batman fan. I've seen some of the Batman. Like, I don't think Batman is bad. Just I was a Marvel kid, not a DC kid. So, I have got some context for him and his voice because he did Batman for so long. But for me, it's more of just like, oh, that's really tragic that a beloved voice actor and community figure died.
Yeah, which it also ties into video games because he did all the Batman video games as well for Injustice, Arkham series. I'm seeing if he did the Telltale Arkham. I don't think he did actually. Hell, he even did as far as multiverses. The Warner Brothers cash grab, right?
Yeah, the one that just came out this year.
Yeah. So that should tell you something. He was Batman for 30 years.
Yeah, for a lot of people.
And looks like he had cancer and just was not. He was not disclosing that his diagnosis. I never saw the cause of death until just now. So damn, right?
Yeah.
Intestinal cancer.
That makes sense, though. Lots of celebrities, no matter what their sort of celebrity A, B, C list is, like, so much of their lives is public. When stuff like that happens, most of the time it'll be kept private, and you won't know until you know, almost the end, or if they beat it.
I mean, like Black Panther, right?
Yeah. He had cancer for years before
Mhm.
it was revealed to the public, and that was right before he died, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So, I mean, he also kind of got into Batman at a very important touchstone on just superheroes and animation in general, because he was there at the beginning of the DC animated universe, kind of the precursor to the Marvel cinematic one, where that one cartoon changed so much about the Batman mythos.
Yeah.
It really rewrote Batman as a more dark, broody, gothic character than the Adam West over the top goofball, but also rewrote the beginnings of Mr. Freeze into a more tragic, almost anti-hero. Created Harvey Quinn just flat out. Kind of reinvented the Joker as a primary rival. Don't get me wrong, the Joker was still important before then, but just, quite a rebranding of Batman, which catapulted DC into the animated universe that they kind of just really threw away. I don't know why they stopped the DC animated universe. Thinking about it, I'm sure that there's a reason somewhere buried that I just never really dug into.
Probably a bad reason too. Probably like
Yeah.
money or licensing rights for something.
Or just, an executive that didn't like cartoons. Because there's been that one too, right?
Yep.
And, he's done other things than Batman, of course. But, that's his big credit, like I said, for 3 decades, essentially. So it's just damn, right?
Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
I don't have anything really of note to add.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let you talk about it as much as you want.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, I don't really consider myself a huge Batman fan, but I do respect the character. And like I said, this was kind of a turning point for DC, and this was a cartoon that I watched growing up. So, seeing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just kind of just like I said, out of nowhere. So, yeah, it's sad to see him go. It's going to be interesting to see if they're going to try to rebrand Batman following this, because, how the hell do you follow up a voice actor that's had the role since the early 90s, right?
Yeah. It would be a time to do a rebrand, or to do anything different, whether or not they had been planning on doing it or not. You'd be like, hey, listen, the old Batman is gone, and we don't want to try to ape that.
Yeah.
Go enjoy all of his stuff. But, we're going to take Batman in a slightly different direction. I mean, this is going to be a damned if you do, damned if you don't thing. There will be lots of people who notice but don't care. Like people who like the stuff but aren't like super fans. Are like, oh, his voice is different. Okay, whatever. And they'll keep enjoying it. And then there will be a camp on either side that would be pissed if you replaced him with someone that was completely different, or replaced him with someone that sounded as close to him as could be gotten.
Mm-hmm.
Like either way, that's a lose-lose situation. So
yeah, I did a quick Google search on what happened to the DC animated universe. Basically, whenever DC did their Flashpoint Paradox storyline, which was essentially the universe reboot.
Yeah.
They tied that into the animated universe as well and tried to restart everything, and it just did not go as well because it looks like just lower quality scripts. And mind you, at that point, they had built across probably a good dozen shows. So, oh, damn, right?
Yeah.
It's basically the same thing that could easily happen to Marvel if they screw up like one really big movie, right? Whenever they have their big end of phase movies.
Yep. It only takes one or two mistakes, and
Mm-hmm.
it'll all go down.
Ooh, I just found a random half-hour expose on whatever happened to the DC animated universe. So I'm going to save that one for later.
On the YouTubes.
Yep.
Nice.
Basically, it looks like just lackluster, and it wasn't worth the investment.
Yeah.
Because they decided to reboot. And also, very weird animation. I remember seeing a couple of these after the reboot, and oof. They went ultra realistic and had like everybody having like puckering pucker lips.
That feels strange. Also, when you said pucker, I did not think lips, but that's a my brain issue.
Wrong type of animation.
Right. Oh, all right. You ready to discuss the next one, or do you have anything else you wanna say?
No, I think that's it. So we'll see what they do with Batman now. Outside of kicking the ever living shit out of the Shaggy.
Right. Okay. So our next news topic is let me scroll back over here. Diablo Immortal gym update leaves players demanding refunds. So I read through this, and if I understand this correctly, there was a gym that you could buy, of course, with real money or
a lot of real money.
A lot of real money. It was just this says, quote, an update to a notable Diablo Immortal legendary gym called Blessing of the Worthy. What it did was that whenever you took damage, you had a 20% chance to unleash retribution damage on all nearby enemies. And it was equal to 12% of your maximum health, and as you upgraded the gem, it eventually went up to 28% of your maximum health. So basically, you had a 1 in 5 chance every time you were hurt to deal damage to all the enemies around you. Pretty cool, pretty powerful, regardless of whatever game.
Especially if you're a tanky character with a lot of health.
Yeah. So they changed it to say not that it was of your maximum health, but of your current health.
And also, it wasn't the initial ranks. It was after rank 3, they changed it from your maximum health to your current health.
Yeah.
So, doubly shitty, right?
Yes. So, this says that some barbarian player types would use an ability that would let them be able to survive on 1 health for a little while. And so that means that they would essentially be doing 0 damage to enemies if you're down in that zone. Whereas before, you'd have been doing, 28% of your maximum HP, whether that was, thousands or tens of thousands. I don't know the scaling on Diablo Immortal.
Well, it depends on how much money you have.
True. But it's just, that's one of those things. Like, that would be shitty no matter what. Like, game balance breaking, whatever. Like, why balance this? Why make it weaker? But because it is something that people paid money for.
Yeah, this was part of a bundle.
Yeah.
I mean,
on the one hand, I totally get being pissed off that you got something and then it got changed. Like, digital goods is still, like, we think of it as this, like, we still think of goods as being immutable and permanent. But digital goods don't function that way. For better or for worse, you can change something about a digital good after it's been purchased. And people are still surprised that ActiBliz did some dumb shit to something that they had paid money for and made it bad. So on the one hand, I understand being mad, but on the other hand, it's like, I mean, you're asking for it. You should know better by now.
Also, the fact that you're paying, well, the bundle that this gym was part of, the resources that you got as part of it, they even max it out. So, according to this article, at least, you had to buy two other bundles, which was essentially putting 130, $140 into a single gem. or
Yeah.
sorry, I misread that. More like 160. So, ooh, right?
Yep. Into a single gym. They say there's no kill like overkill, and this is definitely overkill.
Mm-hmm. I'm just blown away at just how much money people are throwing into this game. In a bad way, you know?
Yeah.
Because I'm just sitting here thinking of all the fun I could have for $160.
Right? God, I could have so much fun with other games for $160, or could go on a date night, or could pay off pay on one of my credit card bills or something. Like I could do so much with $160.
I mean, damn right.
Yeah, could mix and match. Could
Mm-hmm.
get several date nights out of $160.
Mm-hmm. You'd get so many lizards. Well, I guess it depends on the lizard. Now,
True.
tarantulas, on the other hand, oh, you could get
Nope.
a.
Nope. I'm going to
What?
stop you right there. No tarantulas.
Could get us egg pod and hide it in somebody's house.
Nope.
What?
Don't want to do that.
Yeah, maybe mail it to them so that it drops out of the package and they don't realize it.
Nope. Don't want to do that.
You okay?
Yep. I'm okay. I'm just
It's
being...
okay. I'll just make sure it's a clown spider, so it's even better.
Oh, yep. Yep. Nope. I mean, I was out at spiders, clown spiders. No, thank you.
Well, they have a little honky red nose that you could squeeze.
I mean, it'll honk when I squish them with my foot. So that's all the honking it's going to get out of me.
And then they climb into their little clown spider car and drive around.
Oh, I don't want to think about how many spiders are in the clown spider car.
Well,
All right.
Let me tell you this: it's more than one.
Yeah. So I don't know what else to say. Like, they did something shitty. It harmed their players. Their players want refunds. I doubt they're going to get them.
Yeah, I haven't seen a follow up on this. Which, yeah, this article is a couple weeks old now. That's kind of the downside of having a couple weeks off.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the problem with buying into a mobile game is that things could change, especially when you're buying into a mobile game so fucking hard. I mean, you're doing $160 on one gem to work on your spec. I mean, that should be telling you something, right?
Yeah. They go hard.
It looks like they did do some sort of compensation. So there's actually a follow-up I found on a quick Google search. I should have done this beforehand, but I didn't realize it was that old of an article until I was looking at it. Diablo Immortal gym compensation is adding insult to injury. So I'm going to drop this in the podcast notes. And we'll see what they did, because how did they make it worse, right?
Yep. Let me get over here.
I think I dropped it in the right spot. So, a little update from... would help if I clicked on the right one. From, also just under 2 weeks ago.
So when the bundles offer, players note that the legendary crests offered are actually the Diablo Immortal bound legendary crests. They aren't even the most useful version of the crests that players can buy. One player comments, "This is the embodiment of adding insult to injury. I'm almost in disbelief." Others suggest that an offering of a new currency, Telluric Pearls, would be more suitable compensation. With 80 Telluric Pearls, affected players could get 2 random 5-star legendary gems and use the dust from their purchase to upgrade them. Okay, sure.
It sounds like there's dozens and dozens of different currencies, huh?
Uh-huh.
So basically, they gave a currency that is not very useful to compensate, and there was better options that they could have done, but money, right?
Yep, because money. Capitalism. It was capitalism all along.
Well, it was also the people that we screwed over along the way.
True. So yeah, Diablo Immortal. Next on our list, we've got a couple of things from the community corner. Rage, how can people send us stuff to the community corner?
Or you could drop by the Discord, which you can find a link to that over at vglpodcast.podbean.com. You can tweet us, vglpodcast, over on the Twitter, assuming Elon Musk hasn't burned it down to the fucking ground by now.
Which is possible.
Yeah, I mean, he's turning off random features because it only needs 20% of all these, things like, sending out 2-factor authorization codes. Who knew people did that, right?
Yeah. Who knew?
Or you could drop a email to us, vjobpodcast@gmail.com.
Indeed. So this week, we've got a couple of topics. The first, Vampire the Masquerade Swansong publisher says Box's PS5 upgrade listing was a mistake.
Pretty much. If memory serves correctly, because I watched a little bit of the video that was linked in the Discord, and then found an article that was talking about it because it's easier on us than I think it was a 45-minute video. Basically, it has a sticker on there saying that there's a free upgrade from the PS4 version to the PS5 version when they are not offering that. And the lawyer that was doing the videos said it's the most egregious case of false advertising and easiest one to prove that he's ever seen. Which I agree. You have a sticker there, right?
Yeah.
It was Hoglaw, by the way. I was blanking on that for some reason. I mean, there's little other way than you can take it. They have a sticker talking about a feature that they're not offering, right? Saying get a free upgrade. Well, all right.
Yep, get it while you can. And this would be believable because there are lots of PS4 games that had the little upgrade sticker. Not all of them did, but most PS4 games that had releases on PS4 that were also available on PS5 had the little sticker. Mm-hmm. So it's believable that the game could have that little sticker.
Yeah, but all right. I haven't actually seen if there's another update. Because all right.
Yeah.
Basically talking about might finally actually be launching. That's the big thing on all the news lately.
Well, good for them, I guess.
Is there any chance that this game's actually going to be good?
Probably not.
It just seems like it's been in development hell.
I'm at a point where I've played so much the tabletop that the video game doesn't do it for me. I like the Vampire Masquerade world that I've made, not the one that you guys have made. I've got blackjack and hookers. Literally.
Well, if you want to talk about some other hot things, we could jump on over to the other topic, because I don't really have a lot to say on this one, outside of the entire thing has been a clusterfuck, so having Vampire the Masquerade Swansong box upgrade listing being a mistake, why the fuck not, right? And I know Vampire the Masquerade 2 is different from Swansong, but honestly, I care very little about either way. It's the fact that there's just been so much fuckery around Vampire the Masquerade. Even the original had some real issues on development. So
yeah,
maybe the entire IP is just cursed.
It might be. Anything that isn't the actual books.
Maybe they should have just re-rolled and went with a different class that has fewer curses.
Yeah, they should have chosen different stats. They should have gotten some boons. They should have, put some more of their points into the technology skill or their intelligence skill. That way, this game wouldn't be in development hell. All of these games.
Mm-hmm. So, speaking of hell, how about some flaming video cards?
Yeah, more users encounter melting issue with Nvidia's RTX 4090 12 VH power cable.
Oh boy, right?
Yeah, so the
So,
RTX 4090 needs a 12-pin adapter, right? As opposed to the
yeah.
standard 6 or 8 for most GPUs.
Which is leading to dongles to convert what's available, because usually you don't have 12-pin connectors directly from the power source.
Yeah, not usually.
So they'll be converting, like 2 6 pins or 8 and a 6 or whatever, to get the 12-pin, and some of them are just bursting into flames. And I haven't seen any definitive reason on why yet. So Gamers Nexus did a quite extensive teardown that I watched last week while shit was going down over there before I knew we weren't recording that week.
Yeah.
So essentially, it looks like the video cards are shipping with two different dongles, or two manufacturers are shipping one of two different types of dongles, and one of them might be more suspect than the other, because Gamers Nexus did a teardown of the ones that they got out of their cards, because they're Gamers Nexus and they're kind of crazy about that, right?
Yeah. They're very
And
thorough.
they also did a comparison to another YouTube channel that had actual cables that had melted, and found that one of the power cord, or one of the power cables that make up the dongle, is of a different spec, which leads them to believe that possibly they have two different sources for these dongles, and that different manufacturers may be sourcing them from different places. And also, the solder pattern inside the actual cable connector is different on the one that Igor's lab, the one that they were kind of going off of, that had done a expose before them, had a different solder pattern that had more but weaker solder joints compared to what they had, which was fewer but stronger solder joints, which leads them to believe that possibly there might be a connection issue inside the connector. And because this fucking video card is the size of a refrigerator, they might have a problem where there's just not enough clearance from the side of the card down. So the torquing of the cable on that connector might be causing arcing inside it. And it's always this one particular pin, or these two particular pins, that is causing this issue. And they're talking about how, you have to start the bend of your cable at least 35 millimeters away from the connector, which, good luck having that much clearance, right?
Yeah, 35 millimeters doesn't sound like a lot, but in a lot of cases, I mean, 35 millimeters is about let's see, inch and a half, something like that. In tight quarters, you might not have an inch and a half.
Yeah, especially whenever the card's dimension is 304 millimeters by 137 millimeters by 61. So
It's big. These cards are huge.
just under a foot by uh just over 5 inches and 2.5 inches thick. I mean, it's a beast of a card, literally and physically, right?
Yeah, I mean, I want one. I'm not going to buy one anytime soon. I don't need one.
Well,
but I
maybe
want
get one in a fire sale.
Right. Nice. I see what you did there.
I mean, this is kind of the danger whenever you're on the cutting edge of technology, is that these cards are drawing so much power now that, well, one, they're having to use specialized dongles just to power the damn things, right? As a matter of fact, AMD kind of took a shot at Nvidia, saying that their new top of the line card, they don't need a dongle, they just use the 6-pin. Right?
Nice.
The fact that, that's a thing, right? And I just did a quick Google search. According to this, 450 watts on the video card. I mean, that's a lot, right?
Yeah, that is a lot.
And if you have a damaged dongle, that's going to cause problems.
Pulling all that power through.
Yeah, Gamers Nexus was not able to replicate this issue. They do have a thing where they're looking for cards and particularly cables that have had the melting issue and are actually trying to buy off people. I'm not sure if they're still doing that. It's been a couple weeks, like I said. But yeah, it's just, it's getting crazy, huh?
Yeah.
Shit, I think my first computer that I built had an entire power budget under 450 watts. Thinking about it.
My current PC's power budget is about 550 watts.
I think, well, I have more hard drives in the actual case, so I might be a little bit higher than that. But it's not much more. Yeah, this is one where, you're starting to play a game and all the lights in the house dim.
Yeah. What's going on? Don't worry about it. Don't question it.
I'm playing Crisis. I want to play a Crisis with Doom inside of Crisis and Doom inside of Doom inside of Crisis.
Crisis is a game we should look at for Game Club at some point.
Yeah, but can it run Crisis?
Who knows? I guess we'll find out.
I think I have Crisis. I have Crisis 2. I don't have the original.
Set to Steam. Where are you at? Steam tab. Library. I have Crisis 1 and 2.
See, I don't have the original, so...
That's alright.
Looks like they're releasing a Crisis 2 remastered in a day. Didn't even know that was a thing.
Neither did I. I would imagine Crisis doesn't hold up as well as people would like it to.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it definitely shows its age on these screenshots.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's also... Yeah. Oh, damn. I just looked at the date. It's like, oh, damn. Right?
Yeah. So.
Ooh, looks like this version on Steam you do not want to get. You only get the 32-bit version on Steam, which is an issue. And if you want to run the 64-bit version, you have to deal with EA. Actually, do I have it on EA? That's a good question. Because I think they may have given it out at one point. Well, we're very off the rails, by the way, but oh well, right?
What else is new? That's what we do. We go off the rails.
We learn from the best. Wherever Biff is cryogenically frozen, waiting on Kerbal, Space Program 2, right?
Yeah.
He's hanging out with Walt Disney.
God rest his crotchety soul.
Yeah. I saw about Taylor Swift having... Was it all of the Billboard Top 10? And I just imagined how much of it he would be bitching about that.
I realized Taylor Swift had that many.
She had a recent album that just randomly released. So, and people went fucking crazy about it because, right?
It's Taylor Swift. That's what they do. You know what? Good for you, Taylor. Good job, sweetie. You're doing it. You're doing the thing.
Yeah, I just wanted to send me a confirmation code because I haven't logged into EA's shit in a while because, right?
Yeah, I haven't logged into EA stuff in forever either.
But anyway, continuing on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I have too much else to say about this. I mean, it sucks. Sometimes shit like this happens. You know. But it does suck. I'm jealous of anybody, though. I'm jelly of anybody who bought one of these.
Just hope that they got fire insurance.
Right. Kind of like the Samsung battery explosion a few years ago.
Speaking of which, I still need to replace that battery on that other phone. Just kind of, randomly thought of that one.
Right. You're welcome.
I've been busy. Had the niece over. Made some bread.
Well, yeah. That's...
Was sick.
Was sick, yeah. That's it for our topics tonight, my friend.
Woo!
Where can they come join us if they want to send things or talk to us? Air quotes, live-ish.
Well, as alive as we could be, at least. VGL Podcast at gmail.com. You could tweet it to us, VGL Podcast, as long as, the God King hasn't burned it down yet. Or you could drop by the Discord, which you can find a link to that and everything else over at vglpodcast.podbean.com.
Indeed. So it is midnight. I am about to turn into a pumpkin. So why don't
I already
you...
have, because I'm fat.
Right, me too. So why don't you hit them with them socials, Rage?
Well, I've been Caffeine Rage. Assuming things haven't been burnt down, you can find me occasionally tweeting over at Gaming with CR, or you can be my friend at Caffeine Rage on Steam. And you've been?
I've been Jared. You can find me also, considering it hasn't burned down, over on Twitter, shitposting at JMA4707. I've also been sitting back with my lawn chair and popcorn watching this whole thing implode. You can also see me sometimes appearing over on twitch.tv/runicarts. We play tabletop games, and some of them get streamed there sometimes. I know that's a little vague. The Vampire the Masquerade stream is on Wednesdays when it does run. Everyone has busy lives and stuff going on, so we don't always get to play, but that's the one you're most likely to see because it's the one we're all the most invested in. You also can, of course, come join our Discord and talk to me on there, or be my friend on Steam and talk to me there. But, yeah, that's my stuff.
Woo!
Woo!
I have to log into EA anyway because, Game Club stuff, right?
Right.
I had to eventually do it. So, once again, if you wish to contact us, vglpodcast@gmail.com, vglpodcast.pombean.com, which has a link to the Discord. Or, you could contact us directly through Steam or wherever the hell ever, right? Assuming that hasn't burned down either, because, boy, things seem really kind of shitty these days, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's always a chance it could all burn down.
Hey, it's definitely a non-zero chance, especially after, Russia starts poking Poland. Because, invading Poland, the national pastime of Europe. Getting a little dark.
I'm making a face, and just nodding. I know you can't see me.
See you.
Nah, it's okay.
And never mind the fact that I'm often very glad I can't see you.
I am wearing pants tonight.
Well, first time for everything.
I mean, they're pajama pants, but that still counts, I think.
Woo.
Woo.
So, scroll all the way back up. Did the contact stuff. Patrons. Assuming that hasn't burnt down. Patreon.com/VGL podcast for more info on that one. All our stuff is over, once again, at vglpodcast.podbean.com. If you wish to spread love, you can find us on your podcatcher of choice. Our intro and outro music is On the Ground by Kevin Conroy. You can find his stuff over at incompetech.com. Assuming that isn't on fire as well, because why the fuck not at this point? And
as always, as his lovely music starts to roll across my voice as it burns down. Bye-bye now.
See ya.
Bye-bye.